Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Jordy if you don't know me. And first of all, I need to say a huge, massive, big, huge thank you to everyone who bought Likely lashes. We sold out in one day, which was very, very unexpected. And I'm so sorry if you missed out. We've got more coming early March. Watch our Instagram page to find out exactly when, and also there are so many styles that I am itching to release. I hope all of you love your new lashes when they come. Today's video is all of my tips and tricks on how to apply your lashes to make them stay on, make them more comfortable, make them look right, answers to all of your questions that you left me on Instagram. Hopefully. These are the Blissful Baby Lashes. I chose them because I thought they were probably the most difficult to apply. So if you want all my tips and tricks for lashes, then keep watching. As you can see, I'm not wearing any mascara or eyeliner. If you struggle with getting your lashes really close to the lash line, I would suggest wearing eyeliner, but half of the questions that you guys asked me was how to do it without wearing eyeliner, which is understandable because you don't always want to wear eyeliner. Putting mascara on before or after is personal preference. I'll tell you my personal reasons for both ways. Putting mascara on first will keep your lashes nicer longer. They won't get gloopy with mascara. They'll stay super fluffy and clean, because once you get mascara on your false lash, it is really hard to clean it off, because sometimes if you get them wet or you use like an oil makeup remover, they don't keep their shape. In my opinion, the only downside to putting mascara on first is it does seem to make it a little bit harder to put the lashes on. When my lashes are soft and naked, I find it a lot easier to see where my lash line should be to get them on there without my lashes getting in the way. If you want to get the most wear out of your lashes, I would put mascara on first. A good way to make sure you've got a little shelf for your lashes to sit on top is to give your lashes a curl before you apply your mascara or lashes. My eyelashes have a good natural curl. I don't even have an eyelash curler, so I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna do mascara first because I don't want to get mascara on my lashes. Just enough mascara to make sure my lashes are no longer blonde. Mascara isn't super important when you're putting on lashes because you're not gonna see your lashes anyways. So I'm gonna use as little as possible, keeping my lashes soft and fluffy, just taking off some of the excess mascara with my finger. You also don't wanna put too much mascara on, because then your lashes get clumpy and it's really hard to make your false lashes look blended with your natural lashes. Now that I have just enough mascara on for my lashes to not be blonde, I'm gonna grab my lashes and I'm gonna pop out this little plastic tray. The easiest way to get the lash off is to bend this over and really carefully grab the outer corner and then lift off the inner corner. They're only secured to the plastic by the inner and outer corner, so do not grab them by the center and pull, because you could destroy them. So how do you know how much to cut off your lash to fit your eye? This is another thing that does come down to personal preference. If you like the lash to go all the way across, that's fine, only trim off a little bit. If you're finding your lashes lifting or it's uncomfortable, then you're gonna wanna trim off a little bit more. So you're gonna take your lash, no glue, and you're just gonna kind of place it on your eye. Have a look at how long the lash is without any trimming. So this is a lot of lash. I'm gonna move it over a little bit. I want the inner corner to be about here. So I'm gonna look, and you can see that I've got some falling off here. I'm gonna trim away 1.5 of the little individual sections. Keep in mind, that is just how I like to wear my lashes. If you wanna bring it over a little bit more to make it more comfortable, you can trim off more. If your eyes are smaller, you're gonna wanna trim off more. Can you tell that these are my lash scissors? So which end do you cut your lashes from? Again, if you prefer to cut off the short bits and have them longer on the inner corner, that is fine. But if you want the inner corner to blend better, you always want to keep the shortest lash and never cut it off. If I take off this bit, we've got quite a long piece, and that's gonna be right on the inner corner, and it's not gonna look quite right if you're wanting it to look a little bit more natural. So for this style of lash, I'm gonna cut from the long end. If you've got a lash that is the same length over the whole entire band, it doesn't matter what end you cut off. If you have a lash that isn't a cat eye shape, maybe it's longer in the center, you just wanna look at the lash and make sure you have a bit of short lash at the inner corner so it blends nicely, and the longest part on the middle or the outer corner. No matter what the style of lashes, you always want to try and have a short bit of lash on the inner corner just so it looks a little bit more natural. Not natural, blended. I find the trimming process so painful. I don't want to do it, but you have to. So with my little baby scissors, I'm just gonna line it up. Oh, there she goes. If you want to get artsy, then keep these little pieces and you can use them for other parts of your eye. You could stack them for a little bit more volume. So now I've still got tons of lash, but it's gonna be more comfortable. It's gonna look less droopy because sometimes if you've got too much, you end up gluing it down a little bit low and then the lash kind of hangs down. If you're finding that the inner corner of your lash is always lifting, I would say try trimming off a little bit more. The reason that happens is because the lash band is trying to straighten. So it's gonna pull up and kind of try to go back to its original shape. It also helps if you roll your lashes into a C shape so they get more of a curve. I like to not only curl mine in a C shape, I like to actually pinch the inner corner and the outer corner to really soften the inner and outer corner to prevent them from lifting up when they're trying to straighten back out. Trimming them makes them more comfortable, less likely to lift. They'll look a little bit more suited to your eye. They won't droop. Please don't look at my fingernails. If you've trimmed your lashes right down and you're still finding them to be uncomfortable, a little trick is to actually just cut them into 2 pieces, even 3 pieces, and apply them individually. That way the band isn't hard and trying to pull, it's just little pieces. And it's so much more comfortable, but it is more time consuming. At the moment, my favorite lash glue is the Red Cherry Clear Brush-On Adhesive. It's vegan and cruelty-free, and it actually works really well. I'll link where I buy it from down below. I desperately need a new one. This one is old and getting a little crusty. It's getting quite disgusting. I think I'm running out. I love that this has a brush. It makes it so easy to control how much glue you've got going on there. And you just want to brush a thin layer across the band. You don't need very much glue, just a really thin band. You don't need globs of it. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is adding too much glue, and then it takes so long to get tacky. And when you try and put it on when it's still wet, you're gonna get some slipping. Just gonna give it a little bit more of a roll, really get it in an eye shape. And it does take a while for this glue to get tacky, longer than you would think. I think that most lash glues recommend 15 to 30 seconds. I usually will put on blush or freckles or something in the meantime. And then with this glue, you can kind of tell when it's ready because it goes from being white to sort of like not fully clear, but not fully white anymore. I think it's one of those things where you just have to get to know your lash glue. Practice really does make perfect. For the next step of actually applying your lashes, I usually use my fingers. It just seems safer than using a tweezer, but you can use a tweezer if you find that easier, or to make it even easier for you, a lash tool that looks like this one with the little curve on the end. This is the most amazing lash tool I've ever used. It actually fits the lash. It's so easy to grab onto it. It's so easy to apply. And in a second, I'll show you another little thing that you can do with a tool like this. So my glue is tacky. I am just gonna do it with my fingers in case you don't have a lash tool. Use a little mirror and look down. That way you can see the band and you can see exactly where you're putting it on the eye. Secure the middle of the lash first to your skin, not your lash. And then secure the outer corner and then the inner corner. Try and get it as close to your lash line as possible. I know that that's not the easiest task, but it is easier if you have the lash cut and bent to the right shape. And then using your finger, you can kind of just push it down to the lid, making sure the whole band is stuck down. When I'm applying the lashes, when they're still really tacky, I always make sure to push them upwards to try and get them actually glued up so they're not sticking straight out or anything weird like that. You can curl your false lashes with a lash curler, but you do run the risk of pulling them off with a lash curler, and that is not fun. So once these are good and stuck, if you have a gap between your lash line and your lash and you're not wearing eyeliner, my favorite thing to do is to grab the lash and squeeze it down to my lash line really hard. This works so good for closing any gap between your lash line and the false lash, especially if your glue is like the tiniest bit tacky and they're still movable, but you want to make sure they're stuck, because if you try and move them when they're really not stuck, they're just going to come right off. That is another reason why I am obsessed with this lash tool, because the shape of it, you can get right in here and squeeze them right down to your lash line. It helps blend the lashes. It helps close the gap. I'll find a tool like this to link down below for you guys, but I'm pretty sure you can just get them like anywhere that carries lashes. Just make sure it's one with this shape. I think a really common problem with false lashes is that sometimes it looks really weird where the lash ends if you don't really have any lash on the inner corner. A really quick way to make it not look so weird is to take a little black eyeshadow or a liquid liner or an eyeliner pencil. This is the easiest with a tiny little brush. You can take just a tiny bit of that black eyeshadow and kind of paint it along where there's no more lash. And it kind of makes it look like you've got a band that goes all the way across. And I do this even when I'm not wearing liner. It just makes it look a little bit less weird on the inner corner. I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell on camera, but here I've added the black and here I haven't. Just gonna do it on this eye too, right along the lash line. And it really does make a big difference. You can also use this technique if you're seeing a little bit of a gap. You can just wiggle it in, add a little bit of black in there, and kind of disguise the gap. Even if you've done a perfect lash application, sometimes your lashes try and fly away halfway through the day. If I'm gonna be gone all day and I'm trying to wear lashes, I always take a lash glue with me. The wonderful thing about having one with a brush, if the inner corner starts to lift, all I do is grab my little brush, I pull it kind of down, I add it to the band and I stick it back on and I just hold it for a second and then it's stuck on again and I'm ready to continue my day. If you don't have a lash glue with a brush, you kind of just have to either use your finger and get some more on there and stick it back down or carry around a little brush for your glue. This is really excellent. I've been using this for probably about 6 months now and I'm really liking it. So I'm gonna run through this quickly again and just add in little bits and pieces that I may not have mentioned. When you first get your lashes, measure them on your eye. It's always better to cut off not enough and then look again than cutting off too much and then ruining your lashes. So always err on the side of caution. If they're feeling uncomfortable, you probably need to trim off a little bit more. If they're drooping down, it means they're too far down on the outer corner of your eye and you either need to shift them over or trim off a little bit more and shift them over. Make sure you don't use too much glue. Make sure you really let the glue get tacky. Better to leave it too long and it get too tacky and then you can put on more glue than trying to put on a lash that's too wet and it slips and slides and ends up coming off. If you want to keep your lashes clean, do mascara first. Don't put on too much mascara because then you're going to have a hard time blending your lashes to the strip lash. If you don't get them perfectly close to your lash line, give them a little squeeze while they're still a tiny bit tacky and you should be good. If not, you can always go in with a little black shadow to fix it up a little bit. It is a lot easier if you're putting on a lash that has a thicker band and you're having a hard time getting it close to your lash line to just put on a little bit of liner because then if you don't get it right close, you won't be able to tell. But the squeezing trick, try it. It saved my life. Always keep your little tray, always keep your little box. Take your lashes off carefully from the inner corner to the outer corner. Don't yank them off. Be so gentle. And then put them back in their case. If you get too much glue on them, pick it off really carefully with your tweezers or your fingers, and you should be able to wear your lashes like a ton. That is all I can think of right now. If there's anything that I forgot or if you have any more questions, please leave them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if not, I hope this was really helpful. I hope you have a wonderful day today or tomorrow, depending on the time, and I'll see you in the next video.